I know who he is. He is loving. He is all-powerful. And therefore, because he's both of those things, he's trustworthy. Either he's trustworthy or he's not. And so I have to trust. Looking back on my life and looking at his word, I have to believe that he is those things. Right now, I have to believe that he sees more than I do. I have to believe that he knows more than I do.
Welcome back to Singing Through Fire. I'm your host, Lara Silverman, and today we're continuing our Faith in the Furnace series where we interview Christian warriors with powerful testimonies of God's sustaining grace in modern-day lions' dens. I'm so excited to introduce you today to Sara Willoughby. Sara is the author of He's Making Diamonds and the founder of the National Diamonds Conference, an online event for Christians all over the U.S. with chronic illnesses. She lives in California with her husband and loves dark chocolate and adventures. So without further ado, let's sing through the fire. This is Singing Through Fire, where we worship when it hurts, discuss hot takes from the furnace of affliction, and explore a biblical theology of suffering with a side of sass and sarcasm. From lamentations to laughter, this podcast is for anyone desperate for hope, who's ever asked, "Why, Lord, why? I've lost my health, career, and husband, so we're in this fight for faith together." Welcome to the show, Sara. It's so good to have you on.
It's so good to be here. I've gotten to hear snippets of some of the other episodes, and it sounds like it's been really powerful.
You know, I've been dying to meet you. Okay, so for the audience, like Sara is literally a celebrity. Like everywhere I turned, like in the chronic illness community, like I was kind of new to this because I mean, it's only been 8 years, even though it feels like a lifetime. But like everywhere I started looking at resources, people were like, Sara Willoughby, you've got to, read her book. You've got to interview her. So, I mean, I'm not saying this just to boost your ego. I'm saying Sara literally started this national conference and I've watched, many of their resources. They provide so much help, biblically, as well as just, for anyone struggling with a chronic illness. So her work is definitely a ministry, a calling from the Lord. And today we're going to get to hear about her story and how the Lord sustained her through it. So Sara, can you start by giving us your, an overview of your suffering? Like take us to the beginning and your path through it so we have an overview of what you've been through.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for those kind words. Yeah, I got sick first when I was 14. Prior to that, I was just your outdoor, adventurous, nerdy girl. I loved hiking and hanging out with, my siblings and things like that. But when I was 14, I got sick and I never got better. And so I over time developed all these different symptoms. It started with just some gut issues and some joint pain, and then progressed, especially over that first year, with vision problems and brain fog and physical strength, the ability to function got lower and lower as I was entering high school. And I was undiagnosed for that first year and misdiagnosed. And then as I was diagnosed with mold poisoning and Lyme disease. And so, yeah, my family, we packed up our stuff because the mold was actually growing in the walls of our home and we didn't know it. So we packed up a little bit of our stuff, but actually most of our belongings just had to be gotten rid of because of the mycotoxins permeating it all. And so we got some fresh clothes from Walmart, packed up, and went to Montana and then to Arizona, trying to find a safe place for my body to recover. And that was at the time, my parents and my two younger siblings. Our lives just changed within a couple of weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. And then in Arizona, I started to do a little bit better. I was starting to be able to function a little bit until one day I just collapsed and my mom found me on the bathroom floor. I was 15. I was 15 at this time. And I couldn't walk or really talk very well. I couldn't feed myself, get to the bathroom by myself. I needed my mom was just full-time caregiving, trying to keep all of us going, keep me alive, because we, in that moment, were like, what do we do? So we tried a like last ditch, okay, here's another doctor, and she's actually number 17, because I had been kind of just passed along from like doctor to doctor of like, I don't know what's wrong with you, try this person. And I mean, that's I think a
Right.
common experience in the chronic illness
Yep.
community. um,
Yep.
yeah, but this doctor was actually able to help. And she told my parents that if I hadn't come in at that time, I would have, for that particular treatment she was able to do, I would have died within a month, which is not
Wow. And
something. Go ahead.
what disease was that? Was that from the Lyme or the mold?
Yeah, so for me, the Lyme and the mold were connected, but the mold was the biggest factor for me. So because the mold wrecked
Oh,
my system, I was susceptible to other things like Lyme disease
yeah.
and some other stuff. So
So
yeah,
there was life-threatening things going on? Like, I
yeah,
mean, what was the life-threatening thing? I was just curious.
yeah. At that point, because of the mold, like it's a toxin, and so it affects all of your
Oh,
body, and so my
yeah.
organs were shutting down. I remember like just kind of was curled up in the fetal position, and like what, just like literally watching my muscle like on my arm, like what's the word,
Twitching or
twitching. Yeah, because it was like
yeah.
atrophying. I was like watching it atrophy. But specifically my liver in particular was failing, because your liver helps you process that stuff out, and it just couldn't keep up with the amount that I had been exposed to. So
Mm.
yeah.
And so but then it got resolved because she saved your life, right? So she saves your life, and then what happens then?
Yeah, I always, people ask like about healing and what I think about healing or whatever. And I'm like, I got the healing I was praying for, and it was miraculous, but it wasn't overnight. It wasn't the like someone, prayed and I got healed. It was
Yeah.
like God connected me with this right person at the right time. And then it was years from then of like of intensive like recovery and going in multiple times a week to get treatment. And so it wasn't until I was 18. So that was like from the time I first got sick to when I was starting to function normally was about 4 years. And then
Wow.
I started to be able to function normally, and I'm still increasing in that. I'm still like slowly able to do more and more, to where I'm doing well these days, besides some new health stuff that's happened recently. But doing well from that, just with some, residual pain and residual gut things, and just the.
So the Lyme is kind of under control right now, because I know it's such an atrocious disease. I have so many friends with Lyme, and I've interviewed people with Lyme. I mean, is it under control now, so to speak?
Yes. Yeah, the mold and the Lyme, I'm doing well in that. I'm just dealing with the repercussions
Mm.
of having it. So it's like, okay, I'm doing
Oh,
well. I've kind of gotten to overcome some of those things, but now I got to build up my body again, and it keeps crashing on me.
right. So, let's go into your recent health struggles before we jump into questions, because this is important as well. So, I mean, I can also, I mean, I think basically Sarah recently, very recently, experienced a number of mini strokes. Is that accurate? Or maybe you should explain this, and a TBI, which is a traumatic brain injury. Can you give us a high level gloss on that? Was it all of a sudden like hit you out of nowhere?
Yeah, so because of that medical history in the past, my body is not, it is fragile. It's like
Yeah.
I'm not
Oh,
that
yeah.
low, so it's not built up yet. So the littler things
Right.
will are hitting me harder. And it's just, my
Right.
husband and I got married a couple of years ago, just 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and I was overseas, like right for serving overseas before that, and so it's just been like all this stuff happening, and so because of that and overwork, I ended up with
Oh.
3 suspected TIAs, which are mini strokes, and that's what caused the traumatic brain injury, the TBI.
Oh.
Um, and that was just a couple of months ago. So I'm still right now in the thick of recovery, and I so appreciate everyone's grace for my thinking at the moment.
Wow, yeah, the brain fog and everything. I mean, did you have to do rehab after those strokes? I mean,
Yeah, it primarily, I mean, it affected my body and like my like motor skills and
Mm.
things like that, but primarily affected my thinking. And so yeah, I'm
Mm.
still doing brain rehab a couple of months later, trying to get it back in going again, and still have I've had a migraine since for the last 3 months. It hasn't stopped in the last 3 months.
The pounding migraine?
It's up and down. Sometimes it's better. Right now it's on a good day, but yeah, it just hasn't let up since those happened.
So this is a new form of suffering since these strokes and the TBI, like these chronic migraines all of a sudden popped up, and you've never experienced that before.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, you know that part of my condition is chronic migraines, but mine presents as vertigo, among other things. But so, oh, wow. Okay. So, all right, let's step back because I know what it's like, not to get an answer to prayer or the deliverance you want for a very long time. And it sounds like you were in that space for about 4 years until finally at age 18, you found answers. At least as far as the Lyme and the mold and those issues. So I'm wondering during those 4 years, though, when maybe even your schooling was impacted, you could talk about that. How did your faith change? Were you a believer? How did your faith grow, change, all the questions.
Yeah. So, I mean, before I got sick, I grew up in a great home. I My parents love me. They taught me about Jesus. My life, we moved around a lot, but otherwise, like life was pretty bubble wrapped. It was pretty good. And so because of that, my faith was pretty bubble wrapped too. It was just like, oh, this is what my parents believe, and I have
Yeah.
the Sunday school answers, and I'll go along with that. It sounds good to me.
Yep.
um,
Yeah, that was my story. You've got to read my book because chapter 1 is
yeah.
literally that.
Yep. And then the rubber hit the road, and I got sick, and part of that was my family started falling apart, and started struggling, like adding you add high medical bills and caregiving, and sibling, like it's just all this stuff into that. And I
Yeah.
like I said, I wasn't able, I missed a couple of years of school and had to make up for that later. And I like slowly lost my
Oh.
friends because I was 14. Like my friends weren't
Yeah.
equipped to deal with that either. Like they didn't know
Right.
how to enter in, how to be with me in that. And my world, which used to be, I loved hiking, I love, whatever, kind of shrunk
Mm.
to my bedroom. And I know that's
Oh my
your
gosh.
story as well.
Yep.
Um, yeah.
And
So
you were bedridden for part of this time, right? You told
yeah,
me that you were bedridden.
right. Yeah. So like when it was at its worst, I mean, I couldn't, like I said, couldn't feed myself, couldn't get out, couldn't do
Oh my
anything.
gosh. Yep.
Um, yeah, so it shrunk, and I was in that. I'm sure we'll get into this, but lost the dreams, and there's all these things that was just part of. There's the physical pain, but there's all the loss that comes with that, and all the connected things that go with that, and community and stuff like that. And so that really made my relationship with God, like I just had to evaluate, like, is this what I've grown up being told? Does it match the reality I'm experiencing? How, like, can I reconcile the God that I have been told about with the circumstances that are happening, and what do I
Yeah.
do with that? And so I think that the key to the fact that I honestly, my faith grew through what I was experiencing, rather than like, there were definitely moments of like questioning God and distance from God, but the fact that what kept my faith growing in that was asking God the questions that I have, and was bringing him all the raw stuff. And I think that that's what allowed my relationship with him and my understanding of him to grow, was wrestling with that in the middle of all of it.
Wow. And do you feel like he met you when you were questioning and wrestling with him? Like did he speak into your questions with verses or timely coincidences or however he speaks to you? I mean, did he reveal himself to you powerfully in those 4 years?
Yes and no. So,
Mm.
so yes, I think he did, and sometimes he didn't. And sometimes I feel like one of the ways that, like, he didn't answer my question. Sometimes he, over, like, looking back, I can see, oh, maybe that's why this happened, or oh, maybe, like, I see him protecting me or providing for me in that. But then there's also just like, I sorry.
Yeah.
looking back, I can see that. But then at the time, I didn't necessarily have answers. Sometimes, like you're saying, like coincidence, like through his people or through circumstances or through his word, he would encourage me. But most often, it was more just his presence and knowing that he was there in those 4 years, which has been encouraging to me now because right now I've been begging for his presence and I haven't been feeling it, but it's getting to like look back on that time and like how I experienced him, especially honestly, as I got closer to like dying was when I feel like I experienced this like closeness with him that I wonder if I will ever get to experience until I get to that place again or until have, like heaven. Yeah.
Can you explain like what was that present? Because I'm always like, what do people mean? I mean, I experience God in different ways, but one of the main ways is he speaks to me through coincidences, through his word, through people. But I never really feel like I don't feel him like, oh, coming into my room or a feeling or, what you're describing a presence you felt when you were a teenager. What was that? Is it a feeling that you're not feeling now? Is it like a tangible sensation?
I don't have a great answer for this because I don't know if someone's like talked to me about this before.
You
But
just
like,
know that he's there. It's like this knowing, it's like this inner spirit
yeah,
feeling.
it's like a knowing, but also, I mean, sometimes a peace, sometimes, again, like through like knowing that he's there by, like you're saying, like seeing, him, maybe other people showing up and saying the thing that they shouldn't even know to say,
Oh my
God
gosh.
doing that.
Yeah. That has happened to me so many times where people will say things and I'm like, you have no idea that someone else just said that and you have no reason to be saying that because you don't even know what I'm dealing with this over here. Like, it's
Right,
amazing how he speaks through his children to us.
right, yeah, yeah,
So that's kind of what you're saying. I mean, I've experienced his presence in that way as well.
right.
I'm wondering why now you don't feel, I mean, maybe I mean, I don't want to say testing you because it sounds so like condescending. I mean, we're all in testing, but it's like, I wonder why you don't feel that now. I mean, the reality is sometimes, and when I was bedridden, there were many times where I was like, where are you? Like, because he's not
Mhm.
answering the prayers the way you want, it feels like he's not there. Or I don't know. Why do you think you don't feel it now? Because that's what you said.
I would love to know that. I feel like
Yeah. And that's okay.
when I was really like in high school, especially like when I was like really really out of it and dying, I think I
Yeah.
got in my head less. I think that my relationship with God was able to be more like it was maybe more felt more spiritual because it was like I think
Mm.
I was so struggling so much I was like
Surrender.
overthinking it less potentially, as well
Wow.
as also like
Right.
desperate and going like moment by moment like okay, I have to get through the next 30 minutes of pain. I can't think beyond that,
Yeah.
so it's just like Jesus help and just like pointed maybe just kind of throwing myself at him more.
Yeah.
I don't know why,
Yeah.
because I feel like I've been praying a lot lately too. Of like, God, where are you? What?
But no, this is a great thank you for being honest because you are like a warrior in the Lord. You've been with him through all your pain and now you're giving us a genuine testimony of no, we don't sometimes we do feel like he's silent. There's this mystery a bit where sometimes, yes, he is near to the brokenhearted. You've experienced it, I've experienced it, but I think there are certain times where he's saying, and I experienced this, on the bed the first 3 years, like he's saying, trust me, I'm not going to, you know, give you, flashing lights every second, it's kind of like I don't know, it's a mystery.
Yes, I was sharing. There was this as a young adult, like there was this teenager that I was sharing the gospel with, and he
Yeah.
was praying these really bold, but also like to me not very spiritual prayers because he was like we were
Mm.
encouraging him like ask God, talk to him, like pray, whatever, because he was still like trying to figure out if he believed in God or not.
Yeah.
But he would pray for like I want to go on this trip, God, and then like God would like connect all these dots that shouldn't have like he shouldn't have been able to go on the trip, and all of a sudden he would come to us the next day of like God made it so I could go on the trip, and I'm like that's great. Why isn't he answering my prayers like that right but
Yeah.
I feel like he does like depend. He knows where we're at. He knows like we're each in a different place in our journey with him and what we're, like our maturity or our capacity or our ability or whatever. Yeah.
I really think it's like testing in some sense. It's like we're always growing. Like if you're this spiritually mature, he will take you here. And I'm not saying you're spiritually immature. Like he's done the same thing with me. It's like, I don't know. I mean, look at Job, right? It's like,
Right.
Job felt like God had turned his face away, even though Job was the most righteous man. So that's that your story right now, your moment right now reminds me a lot of Job. Like cling to that because it's like God is, I mean, I'm not saying he's testing you, but I mean, you get what I'm saying. He's testing all of us with these disciplines. But I want to ask, like, what assumptions about God do you think you had that unraveled when you started facing prolonged suffering? Like,
Mhm.
because obviously some Christians believe the false prosperity gospel, and that's dismantled very quickly when you don't get healed. Or, you're like, why would a good God do this? I thought God heals everyone. What assumptions did you flipped upside down for you through your prolonged suffering?
This one took me a while and I'm still wrestling with it. But when I first, like the first couple years, I think I was pretty self righteous. And I was like,
Oh,
I was like, the, like, okay, like this is for the glory of God. And
right.
I felt like I could, that was how I got myself through stuff. It was like, this is like, okay,
Mm.
if God is glorified in it, if God is glorified in it. And a couple of years ago, a mentor was like, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean? How is your suffering glorifying God? And I was like, it just like if I obey him, like it brings him glory, like that's the purpose in these things. And he said, the mentor was like, well, basically it was like God's glory is his love. And I think that when I first started walking into suffering, I was like seeing myself as some kind of, I don't know, martyr, but that's not the right word.
Martyr. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've all had that.
Right.
I mean, it gets you through, you're like, yes, I'm leading the
There's a
charge. Like,
purpose.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But and that's not like
Well,
wrong.
it's not unbiblical. Yeah. But
Right.
what are you getting at though?
But what glorify, like pain in itself isn't necessarily like people look at pain and like, ooh, glory to God because of pain. They're looking at it and they're like, glory to God because because he is caring for you in that, or because he is providing for you in that, or because there's a way, he's provided a way out eventually. We look at Revelation 21 and we dream of
Yeah.
like when you're going through suffering, you're the heaven looks so exciting. Like
Oh, yeah.
you're ready
I know.
for.
You and I get that. I feel like you and I like does eternity encourage you? Because I feel like, and not to be mean to against some of my friends, but it's like I feel like people think I'm a loony whenever I'm like, I'm excited about heaven, It's like we're Christian guys. Hello. Like this is the point. And especially because my husband is there now, it's like even more, I mean, not in like a suicidal way. It just
Right.
this is our hope.
Yeah.
And when you have chronic illness, have you felt the same way?
Oh, absolutely. Like whatever with chronic illness or whatever suffering, like I think that like lamenting what is not how God designed it to be here is like part of worshiping and part of like eagerly anticipating that like
Oh.
what will be. Yeah.
Yeah. But can you get back to the glory? So you were saying, okay, your mentor said that your
Right.
pain is not, he didn't say it's not for the glory of God because obviously it is, but you're saying the
Right.
mechanism is people see the pain and then they are astonished that God is helping you in the pain.
What makes our God so great is that he is with us in the middle of this. Like you look at all the other religions, all the, whatever, and what we have in Christianity is a God of love and a God who enters into the pain with us, and who even in like Jesus came and bore it with us so that we could be free from it eventually in heaven. And so
Yeah.
I think one of the like things that I'm still wrestling with, but that I've started to ponder over the last couple of years, and that I didn't totally get when I first became chronically ill, was just that like it's not about my endurance. It's not about that. It's about his love in it. It's not that, oh, we have a God
Mm.
who like the suffering itself isn't what glorifies God. It's that it's all the things connected to that. It's the eventually there won't be any because of because of his what Jesus came and did. It's he enters into it, and that's like his love in this. It both in the form of Jesus, but also, like the Holy Spirit with us now. And then it's also like even the fact that there is suffering is because humans had free will to choose sin. And so it's like um
Yeah.
just I mean, it's honestly still something I'm wrestling with, but just like that
Yeah.
that adjustment of like, it's not my self-righteous I'm enduring, which is like great, but when our hearts get to be just coming like uh trusting in him. And again, why would we trust in him except that he is loving, except that he is powerful? And so it's like those things, not the like just sheer endurance itself that I
Right.
yeah.
That's I'm glad you said that because I agree with you. Like a lot of times what motivates me, frankly, is yeah, that is something to reflect on because it's about me in the sense that I'm like, I'm persevering for the Lord and and this is true. This is biblical. Like Romans 3:5 says,
Right.
suffering creates, perseverance, perseverance, character, character, hope. And so it's like there is that aspect of part of his glory is our endurance through sufferings. But you're right, it ultimately is about how he is helping us endure. None of it is about us. Have you experienced, well, actually, let me ask you this, like, because you and I had such a similar background, like in Sunday school, they don't tell you to take up your cross. They don't tell us some of us will have chronic illnesses. They don't tell us, a spouse is not guaranteed. They don't tell us a long life is guaranteed. And so it's like you and I were raised in this context of God is so good. Like all I'm getting is a band-aid occasionally. And like I get hikes with my family. Like who wouldn't want eternal life in Jesus, like that? And then we start suffering and you realize Jesus said, take up your cross. Like, have you thought about the take up your cross idea? Because sometimes I'm like, Lord, why does this need to be the condition for discipleship? Like, why do you ask us to take up our cross? Like you already took up the cross. Why do you think after going through so much of your own suffering and now you're taking up new crosses, why do you think he calls us to this? Why can't we go from joy on earth to joy in heaven? Why is it always cross to glory? That's the gospel pattern.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I totally relate to that. I feel like something that we were talking about like how maybe my theology or understanding of God has shifted and changed. And I feel like it's that,
yeah.
looking at John 16, where it's like we're
Okay.
promised suffering. um, we're
Oh gosh.
we're not like, it's not like it's honestly a surprise when there's not suffering, if in a life as a whole potentially. Some people
Yeah.
watching this might be coming from different places in their life, but can you sorry, what was the question? Is like
The question is like, why does he call us to take up our cross? Like, it's such a shocking, like if you're an unbeliever and your Christian friend is like, you want to sign up for Christianity, the first condition is denying yourself. I mean, and I'm not mocking the Lord. I'm trying to it's so alarming to even us believers because we hate suffering. And so I feel like God's calling is so high. And yet you're right. Jesus said, in this life, you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. But sometimes my analytical self is like, Lord, why do we need to suffer to get to glory? Why can't we just have only joy on earth to get to joy in heaven? And maybe that's the fallen world. And that's why God allows us. What do you think?
yeah, no, you're so right. I mean, I don't know. I'm asking him that too.
Right? It's a mystery.
I I'm definitely asking him that, and I continue to ask him that, especially because like it's funny. This is something I've been thinking about lately because like I was I was sick for high school. I still have residual stuff from that, and so I'm like, God, I've done this. Like I've been here, done this. I know, I know I've
Yeah.
gained all the things I in my pride. I've gained all the things I have to gain from this type of suffering. Can we be done with it now? Like why is this, why are there new
Yeah.
things? Why is this going on? And so
Has he spoken into that? I mean, when you ask, Lord, isn't enough enough? Why do I need these strokes now, these chronic migraines? Has he spoken into that at all? when you ask the why question?
Maybe. I some of the things
Mm.
that I have been pondering and holding on to in that is just that, like, at least that's where I've landed in this wrestling, and I encourage everyone to wrestle in that yourself. But I think that looking back at my life, I see that he has been those things, that he is those things. And so um right now, I have to believe that he sees more than I do. I have to believe that he knows more than I do. I don't know the answer to those things, but I'm choosing right
Mm.
now to believe that there is that. I mean, like, what was it? Lamentations, where he was like, the Lord doesn't afflict from the heart. I think it's Lamentations 3.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, that's where I've been right now. It's like, I don't know why this is happening. I don't know why this is happening again. Like, I could see, okay, the
Yeah.
first time I learned these things, I matured this way, my relationship with God got better or deeper or
Right.
whatever. God brought a ministry out of it. Like, there's all these great things, but there's also like, what's going on now, and why is this happening now, and why again, even though it's a little different, but why again? And so I just keep coming back to that, like, either he is all powerful and loving and therefore trustworthy, or he's not. But I think that he is. And so because I have to trust that there's something in this, that there's some purpose in this, because his the heart of God is love. And the heart of God in his word is for his people. And this doesn't feel like it's for me right now. It doesn't feel like there's
Mm.
some kind, it doesn't feel like good is coming out of it. But I
Yeah.
have to believe that this is the that if I could see everything he could, I would choose the same route. Like, if I
That's what's hard. That's what's hard.
right,
It's like, oh my gosh, because the pain is so real. And yet that's what he's calling us to, right? It's like, trust me, I know what's best. And it's like that phrase always used to get up my gander. And honestly, like only recently I've been able to like, this is how prideful I am, Sarah. Like, it's like only recently, like this last year, have I been able to finally, because it's like when you lose your health and your husband, I mean, I'm not justifying, but it's like,
no,
when people used to say God knows what's best, I would kind of cringe because I'm like, Lord, this is not best. I don't understand this. And yet the Lord spoke into it and said, I see the bigger picture. You have to trust me. And it's like, okay, I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't see all of eternity. But when you are in the fire, it's so hard. Like, do you relate to this? Like,
oh, absolutely. I mean, and it's combination of trusting and lamenting, and like, it's
yeah,
really hard. But like, even, I mean, before Adam and Eve sinned, like, death wasn't the design for us. Death wasn't like,
right.
it's wasn't the best that he had for us. And so, I mean, I'm not trying to speak into your specific situation at all, but like, just the
Yeah.
lamenting with the trusting. And I think that even like lamenting and being like, this sucks, this doesn't make sense, I don't understand, this feels terrible, is honestly an act of trust. Like, it's an act of trusting that there's something else, and that he loves us enough, and he's patient enough to like hear all of our, this is how it should be, and I don't understand why you're doing this, God.
Yeah, I agree with, and to get back to your point of like what's the good he's bringing out, obviously we saw how he redeemed your first batch of suffering in your teenage years by bringing about the Diamonds ministry. I mean, he has used you to encourage chronic illness sufferers around the US. And so now, even though you can't see the purpose, it helps you cling because you've seen his hand. But what I wanted to say, because you already said that, what I wanted to say is like Romans 8:28 is still hard nonetheless. Because for me, I'm always like, Lord, that's so vague. What is the good that you're talking about? Is it for me? Is it for eternity? Is it for everyone? Like, I mean, there are verses which suggest, as you know, like Colossians 1:24 and other verses where Paul's like, hey, if we're suffering, it's for your comfort. Like, my suffering is leading to your salvation. Like, all these mysterious verses about us being poured out like wine and broken like bread. So, I mean, what I'm saying is there's so many reasons he allows suffering. And part of it is, I think, just edifying the body. It's not only a testimony to unbelievers, but also edifying the body. Like, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I had pulled up the Second Corinthians, where Paul's talking about, like, if we are afflicted, it's for your comfort and salvation. If we're comforted, it's for your comfort. But even like
Yeah.
before that, it's also like, talking about God, and he's like, who comforts us in all our affliction, so that we may be able to comfort those who are in any affliction with the comfort that we ourselves receive from God. For as we
Yeah.
share abundantly in Christ's sufferings, so through Christ we share abundantly in comfort too. And just like that, taking up that cross, I don't know the whole reason of like why he gives us a cross, but I think there is like
Yeah.
this, there is anecdotally in my life, I've experienced that closeness with God in ways that I don't when things are going well, even if I'm in a
Mm.
great place spiritually, like when things
Yeah.
are going well.
Wow.
There's a comfort that only exists in the context of suffering, I think.
I agree with you. And sometimes I wonder, like, I mean, I never experienced God like this before 8 years ago. And I wonder why sometimes I'm like, Lord, when it says he draws near to the brokenhearted, and I'm not blaming him, but it's like, I think it's our fault, really, when we're healthy, even if we're spiritually in a good place, our hearts just, I don't know how to put it. Like, if you have the good blessings on earth, you're not inclined to just, I mean, some people are like the most spiritually mature of us, but it's like I definitely wasn't like, I'm only focusing on heaven. I was excited about heaven, but nowhere near where I am now, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I even
But
really
oh, go ahead.
I don't think I even really looked into heaven before. Like, I was just like, oh yeah, vaguely, like that's good, whatever. It wasn't,
When I'm in 98,
wait, I need to know what it is I'm hoping for because this sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Your story also reminds me of, well, my story and your story is similar because like I've taken a lot of encouragement from Paul's chronic thorn in the flesh. Like this guy gets beaten, stoned, shipwrecked, like he's, and then on top of it, like God gives him this thorn in the flesh. And the reason is that he says like God didn't want me to get prideful. Like he
Conceited.
says this was sent, to make
Yeah.
sure that I don't, and I'm thinking like, doesn't the guy have enough like to keep him humble, and so that kind of answers your question. Maybe that can encourage you like, haven't I learned this already? And I'm not saying he's doing this to you to keep you prideful or not to, strip you of your pride like Paul or something. I'm just saying like sometimes us saints, it's just, I don't think there's ever like a quota on suffering for better or worse. Like even Joni Eareckson Tada, on top of being a paraplegic, then she gets
Right.
3 cancers. I mean, it's like enough is enough, Lord. And yet he's saying, no, this is what is best. So
Right.
we're either going to believe God knows what's best, full stop, and believe it, or we're going to be like, this makes no sense. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. And sometimes it might be both. It might be like,
Yeah.
I believe it and this makes no sense.
If you've ever felt like life's challenges are burning a little too hot and asking the Lord why, I wrote something just for you. My number one best-selling Christian memoir, Singing Through Fire, is about finding Christ's surprising joys in the middle of life's most severe storms. As someone who's lost my health, career, and husband, I have a lot to say about how God walks us through great grief. This book is for those who have questioned God's will, or struggled with bitterness, anger, or 1,000 unanswered questions, yet who still dared to believe that Christ is right there in the flames with us. It's filled with honest theological wrestling, tons of comedy, and many biblical reasons why God allows suffering. Some will definitely surprise you. If you're walking through loss today, this book will give you powerful hope and faith to keep trusting, and make you laugh and ugly cry at the same time. You can grab Singing Through Fire on retailers like Amazon and Barnes & Nobles, or just copy-paste the link in the description below. Some tragedies don't tie up in a redemptive bow on this side of heaven, but in Christ, redemption is always awaiting us in eternity. So let's keep singing through the fire together. Yeah, exactly. I mean, do you cry out? Like, what does lament look like for you now? Like, especially during the strokes and the most severe suffering you're going through now. Like, do you just cry out to him? Do you pray the Psalms of lament?
Yeah. I mean, I have literally been, I can't read because of very well right now because of the brain
Oh,
rehab still happening. And so because of
oh,
that, I've
yeah.
been listening to Psalms. I've just been like binging Psalms, and not even like with my brain fog or whatever, not even able to like fully understand all of the things that they're saying in that. But I just keep like
Right.
crying out and like praying through Psalms or like crying through them sometimes. And I think that, I mean, we're talking about like looking back on how God has worked in the past. David did that over and over again. Like
Yeah.
he wrote like here's, some pretty like this sucks. I want it, like this is really hard. I want to die. Why don't you do this? And then but I
Yeah.
will remember how you've worked, or you are this. But yeah. So definitely Psalms, but I don't know, sometimes lamenting for me has is like sharing with a friend, and like letting them carry it, and particularly because like with the chronic illness there's like perpetual grief, and it's like there's ongoing loss. Sometimes you have to like
Yeah.
reach out and make space for that and be like, hey, can I can you enter in with this? Can I share? Because it's sometimes pretty invisible. I mean, you know that.
Oh, yeah.
And then also,
Uh,
go ahead.
Go. No, you go.
Just I've never done this until the last year or so, but I've actually been writing my own laments. And that has
Wow.
been really, really helpful for me. Chronic Joy
That's cool.
Ministries is actually a they have a lot of resources for caregivers and people with chronic illnesses, and they have like a resource on how to write a lament if anyone wants to try.
Wow. Oh, that's a beautiful idea because it kind of personalizes it. Like, I think that's really beautiful. I'm wondering, like, where have you had to let go of dreams, identity, expectations, like, you know, and how has God met you in those losses? In other words, like, because you're still dealing with a lot of these chronic health issues as well as this new onslaught of suffering now, like, for me, the hardest part of this journey was not so much the physical pain and suffering, it was the loss of my dreams. Like,
Yes.
I wanted to be married 40 years and then you lose the spouse, or I wanted to be a lawyer and then I lost the career. It's like the surrender to his will, I think, is the hardest part. And I'm wondering what you have lost in terms of your dreams and how has God met you in that?
Yeah. Oh, well, I remember a moment in particular, and I talked about lamenting, but sometimes lamenting has just been sitting there crying or sitting there not even able to cry, and that's okay too.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
remember a particular moment when I was 15, sitting on the floor in my room, and I had just like learned that, or I had received information that now it doesn't isn't quite applicable to my situation, but that my health conditions could be passed to a spouse or children. And I was like,
Oh,
I don't like I was 15, but I was like crying and grieving of like I don't think I can get married. I don't think cuz I didn't know. I'm like, could I like what do I do with that? Do I do I get married and then want to
oh,
have children anyway? Do I not? I don't know. And I just
yeah.
particularly had four dreams. One was I wanted to be a mom, and I wanted to be a wife and get married, and I wanted to serve overseas, and I wanted to write books. Those were like, this is my life dream, what I want to do. And but there was, how could I do that? At this point, like at 15, I reached this point where I was like, okay, well, how can I mean, besides like news I had received about like passing on my health stuff, I was like, well, how can I be a mom when I can't even take care of myself? Like I can't, how can I be taking care of someone else if I can't even, I need, I'm a teenager and I need my mom to give me a shower because I can't do it by myself.
Yep.
And how can I like, how can I get married when I like, I can't contribute, can't like, don't even know how I would meet someone because I'm bedridden. Like, how do I do any of these things? How
Yeah.
can I go overseas when I can't get to the other side of the room without help? And how can I write books when I can't think in full sentences? And so those were like these dreams that died. Like I literally like wrote out this blog post of like, I give up. Like these things, I genuinely were like, these aren't going to happen for me. Like I
Yeah.
had to let go of them and grieve them, which was ongoing. Like I said, chronic illness is perpetual grief. And so it was like this
Yeah.
ongoing loss, because you lose, okay, maybe you lose something, your abilities for today, for this year, or you have pain, or miss out on this thing. But chronic illness is also like, I'm also, like as you meet these milestones, I'm missing out on school or maybe children or a husband or whatever. And in my case, God has actually resurrected some of those dreams. He has there through different ways and ways that I didn't expect. He's resurrected several of those dreams, and they have actually like come into happen for me. But yeah, at the time they didn't. And there's still the dream of a baby is still one that is actually further out than ever, even though now I'm married and functional and all of those things,
Yeah.
because of other health stuff going on.
It's like this, there's this tension in the Christian life where it's like we know God is good and wants to bless us with good gifts, but we also know that it's not his will to give everyone all of the earthly blessings. Like, and that's so hard. It's like he calls us to surrender to his will. And sometimes, and we probably won't know the answers until eternity for why one couple struggles with infertility, but the other one is blessed with 5 children and might not even want the fifth baby. And yet the Lord opens the womb yet again. It's like, there's so many mysteries. And it's like I've come, and like for me it was like I really wanted to have children with Matt too. I mean, we wanted the long marriage. I mean, but again, it's like God just has his purposes, and we're either going to believe that we would have taken this route as well. I mean, it's almost hard for me to still say, like, it's still raw to some extent. Like, I
Right,
believe he has purposes, but I don't think, frankly,
right,
I don't know if I can say I would choose this route because I do miss Matt. I do. So
right,
it's so hard. Like, and so grieving and chronic illness is also this unique cross, as you've mentioned several times. It's like we're in well, we shouldn't remain in perpetual grief, but it's the temptation is there because the pain is constant. And yet God, what I've learned recently is that God calls us out of grief. He wants us to always
mm,
hope. Like, if grief is going to stay permanently, at least for me, it kind of becomes idolatrous. I think James 1, is it James 1:2 says, count it all joy. And like, I'm wondering how you view that verse, because it's like when I first read that, I was like, count it all joy. Like, I just lost all my dreams, like there's my
right.
husband in heaven. Like, my next chance is to see him in heaven. Like, how do you interpret that verse? I mean, God's calling is so high. He's actually asking us not to rejoice for all things, but in all things, right? That's First Thessalonians 5:16. But that in and of itself is still hard. Like, are you rejoicing right now and I hope you are. I mean, you're so spiritually mature, but like, I'm not trying to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, yes and no. Like, yes, again, it's that, yes, there's joy and there's moments of joy, and there's also not, and there's moments of grief. And I think that, like, something that I have come to believe is that, like, lament is a form of trust. Lament is a form of worship as well, because it's like it's coming to God. And I mean, there's different, like, what does grief look like potentially is something to think about. And like, where are our hearts in it? Like,
Yeah.
are we are we trapped in despair? Are we, and there's times for, like I'm thinking of Hannah weeping at the temple and praying so much that, like, the was it, who was it, whatever prophet or like priest or whatever
Yeah.
thought that she was drunk, like, 'cause she was like just pouring out her soul to the Lord.
Yeah.
And like, there's a space for that. But then there's also, I love how my husband and I were just reading The Silver Chair by C.S. Lewis.
Mm.
And in that, one of the characters, something happens, and she's crying, and Lewis writes, he's like, crying is all right, and it, like, for a time, but eventually you have to get up and decide what to do. And so I feel like there's
Man.
like, it's that both and so yeah, the joy right now looks like trying to seek his presence. And as I've shared, I haven't felt it as much lately in the last
Yeah.
couple of months of what I'm going through. But I think that that's where joy is. Joy's not like cheerfulness. I mean, there's cheerfulness is good. A cheerful heart is good medicine, is what Proverbs says. But like, joy is like the peace and the contentment in his presence. At least in my on experience that is still maturing and still figuring it out. But that it can be like, is our grief, is our lament, like, brought to God, maybe, in, like, because it can be worship, because I think that it's trusting him, and it's like, this isn't it's not supposed to be this way. Like, this isn't the way you've designed it to be. And so,
Yeah.
like, bringing it to him and trusting him that he wants something different or has something different. Am I
Yeah,
making sense?
it's like yeah, I mean, I agree with all that, and I've come to the point when I am tempted to think, no, I wouldn't have chosen this path, because I do genuinely believe that when we get to eternity, how Paul says, then we will know fully. I mean, I don't know if he's going to reveal all his secrets, and but I do think he will graciously give us knowledge as to some things about why that had to happen in this, because I think that will be very healing. And I think that's what a good God would do. I mean, it's not like I'm not imposing my view of a good God on him. I mean, there are these verses, where Paul says, then we shall know fully. And so what I'm getting at is that comforts me. And that reminds me, okay, when the enemy is lying to you that God doesn't know what's best, change the channel. Remember the biblical truth. Like, he is good, he is loving, everything he does is righteous and faithful. And if I don't understand why my spouse had to die yet, if I don't understand why my friend Sarah has to go through all these strokes, if I don't understand, you are doing something, full stop. And you are wiser than I am. I think pride is really the root of the issue, at least for me. It's like we think we know better.
Right. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like this is a tangent, but I feel like that might be it's pride is a struggle for everyone, but I feel like maybe when you've endured some suffering, it can be easy to pride can be easy to fall into when you're like comparing yourself to other people or like,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But no, I relate to that. I think that as I was asking that, like, God, like, I have to believe that if I was as good as God and knew what he did, I would choose the same things. But when I was praying with God, I was like, God, I cast myself on you. Like, if you're asking me, like, he's not, but like, if he was asking me what I wanted to do right now, I'd be like, I would like
No.
to yeah, I'm like, I choose something different. So I want to just cast myself on his love and his mercy and trust that he's better than I am.
And can I just say this too? Because it just encouraged my heart. Maybe the Holy Spirit's like kind of prompting me. Like yesterday, God helped me a lot because I was kind of, down again. And the Lord gave me this idea of this is not the end of your story and Matt's story. So in other words, we forget, we always throw that around when it comes to like earth. Like, yeah, whenever, the story isn't over even on earth. God will resurrect things. We've got 50 more years to live if that's his will, whatever. But even at death, the story is not over. And the reason I'm saying this is maybe when God says, I know what's best and I see more than you guys do, it's about eternity. Like your life story is going to go on and only he knows where he's going to take you for all eternity. We're going to have roles in heaven. We're going to have ministries in heaven. Like we can't see these things. And look, I don't know why, my spouse has to die here for me to be ready for my role in heaven. Like, I don't know how that mysteriously works. I'm not saying it's a 1-to-1, but that's part of how God has comforted me on like the reason you guys can't understand is you're looking from a temporal perspective, but I'm operating from an eternal perspective, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much more complex than we know. I mean, there's just so much that we don't understand, even about our earthly life and home, but like let alone the other, spiritual realms. Yeah.
Yeah. And 2 Corinthians 4:16 is one of my favorites, which says, we don't lose heart, though outwardly we're wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. What do you think is that renewal? Is it just the transforming into the Christ image? It's like the Romans 8:29, or is there something more happening there?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I
That's a
think
great
I
question. Are we being made more into like eternal beings? Are we like being
maybe
renewed
it's like
our energy, our strength, or I don't know.
I think it's like renewing our spirit man or, and
Yeah.
women, so to speak. Again, it's just like the conforming. I think that's what Paul is getting at. It's, well, actually, you might be onto something with the eternal being point because the verse right after that says, our light and momentary troubles are creating for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So I don't know. It's mysterious. But the sufferings themselves are achieving it. Like, and that gives us comfort
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, all right, none of this will be wasted. I
Mm-hmm.
want and actually like doesn't that comfort you because it's like he flips the script. It's like Romans 8:17 says if we share in his sufferings we will share in his glory. Like doesn't that just comfort you?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
I want to ask also, like, what's your favorite Bible verse that's kind of an SOS lifeline, that you cling to, or even when you were in the hospital recently, like, were there any certain scriptures that really spoke to you?
I mean, like, my overarching life verse, which developed during the high school years of mold and Lyme, is 2 Corinthians 12:9, which is, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weakness. I might have butchered that a little bit, but how that came about for me was I put it on my, when part of like what was going on was I was like, I would often have these like, just feel really depressed or have these like panic attacks or things like that during the high school years of everything, my body shutting down, including my brain. And so
Yeah.
I would go when one of like the things that I found myself doing when I was like in these really dark moments was like I would hide in the closet because I don't know, I felt safe, I
Yeah.
don't know. But what I
Yeah.
did was I printed out that verse and like taped it to the wall in the closet so that when I found myself going in there, that was there. And I
Oh.
memorized that because of just have like, not because I tried to memorize it, but because I was just clinging to it, reading it over and over again so much during those dark times because his I was like, I can't get through this. I can't, there's like, I have my own, I can't survive this. But his his grace is sufficient and his power is made perfect. And if this can, like, that's how I'm gonna get through it.
What do you think it means that his power is made perfect in our weakness? Like, what does that mean? Because I have my own gloss, but I'm curious what you think it means. Like, why do
Yeah.
we need to
I
be
mean,
weak for his power to be made perfect? It's such a weird way of saying. I mean, I'm not trying to be blasphemous, against the word of God. Like, what is he getting at?
it's confusing for our human minds. I still don't, I don't know that I would fully know the answer to that, but something that I have thought about is that I wonder if we have to get out of our own way. Like I wonder if
Oh,
when we have our own strength and our own like ability to do whatever we think we're supposed to be doing, then we think that we can do it. But when we know that we can't do it, which suffering often brings out the more, makes it more obvious what was already true, is that we can't do it all
yeah.
on our own, then I feel like there's room for God, like we there's room in our hearts and our lives or whatever for God to work, for God to enter in. And then it's also obvious to everyone around us that it wasn't us that made things happen, but God. I think one of the other verses I hold on to a lot is in Psalm 46, where it's, but be still and know that I am God. And I've been looking recently into the be still part, and some of the other ways that that word can be translated is like be weak or be frail. And I'm like, and know
Oh,
that I am God. And I kind of wonder if those go hand in hand. Like, I think that to know that He is God, we have to know that we are not. And
wow.
suffering, weakness, sickness makes that more obvious.
Right, right. Those are really profound insights. I mean, the way I've glossed it is like he shows his power. I mean, you already answered it. It's like his power is made perfect because it's displayed so beautifully when we are weak, such that everything we accomplish, it's obvious that it was his power.
Exactly.
And actually, like, that leads to Isaiah 40, what is it, 29, which says he gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Have you found that to be true? Like, you're in the hospital and you're in so much pain, and then all of a sudden you feel like, whoa, I have strength to handle it. Like, not like some miraculous,
Right.
potion or something, but have you felt him like give you his power? I mean, miraculously, even?
Yeah, I mean, I was joking with my husband about this podcast interview because I was like, over the years, every time a podcast interview comes up, I'm doing poorly. I'm like, I'm like, for some reason, I get sick the night before, or I have strokes, or whatever. And it's like,
Yeah.
what is it? And I was like, I feel like in some ways, it's at the same time, looking back at those, there's some of them where I'm like, God brought things to mind that I didn't know, or God worked in that situation, or the other person said something that I need to hear, or other people needed to hear. And so even like with this
Oh,
situation where I'm like, I was praying before this, like I don't know what to say. I it's the end, I don't know what I know I can't think well right now. And so getting
Yeah.
to like have the, it's just funny the timings that God brings that. And I've seen that with the Diamonds Conference as well, or even with like writing books. Like this book, He's Making Diamonds, I wrote during the high school years. I wrote when I was like at my lowest physically. And I've written like 7 or 8 books since then. And that one is different because that one I didn't have it together and I didn't have it, and so I saw God work in that. And I've gone back and read it years later and I'm like, I didn't understand. Like, I've gone like, wow, that's encouraging. There's no way I intended to say that at the time. I was like, God had in his grace, like brought things to mind or brought other people to like help influence, I think, and shape that book. And so I've just gotten to, I feel like there's different ways, at least in the space of creating, but also just in the way of like enduring suffering, where I reach the end of my rope and then there's a wind that's not coming for me. Like there's a second, third, fourth, whatever, I don't know, that I couldn't have done that on my own.
Man, I agree with that completely. Like so much of the wisdom, even in my own memoir, was like from the Lord. Like none of it could have been, I mean, all wisdom is always from the Lord, but it's like none of it could have been from my own, oh, Lara is a lawyer and knows how to interpret theology. It's like, shut up. It's like the only reason I grew at all in my faith is because the Lord spoke into these places and questions about suffering, just kind of like the way you're saying. Like it's amazing how I don't know, somehow when we are broken, we become fresh bread for others. Again, it's what Paul said. If we are afflicted, it is for your comfort. So maybe
Right.
both of us today are more effective because we're in pain. Like because I was sharply grieving yesterday and you are, going through this new batch of suffering. I want to end just on this two really quick questions. So what is the hardest thing to explain to other Christians about living with chronic illness, the part that no one sees?
Yeah, I think I was thinking about this, and I think that it is the all the little things adding up. And like there's the okay, I can say in October, messaged my support, network or whatever of like, this just happened, please pray. And
Right.
that month, people showed up and they brought us meals and they prayed for us. And yet today or last week was like the darkest period. It was like, okay, well, in the moment I was just in the whatever, but now it's been 3, at least in this case, but with the
Yeah.
other conditions it was similar, where it was like, okay, now it's whatever, it's months or years into the process, and it's the little things of like, okay, well, every action hurts, or every decision is very complicated because I'm weighing, okay, well, I need to do this and I need to do that, and I only have the energy for one. Okay, what's more important? I literally asked my husband this a couple weeks ago. What's more important, going to church or going to the family wedding? I don't know. Or
Right.
what's more
Right.
important, having quiet time with God, or like whatever
Yeah.
it is. But it's just like or like being able to make food today. Like both of those things are
Oh,
very important. And so there's just
yeah.
these like all these little things that throughout the day, throughout that, then the last months and years, is like builds up to this exhaustion, and then it's also often unseen. And so I think that can be some of one of the things that's hard for other people, that's invisible to other people, is like how all
Yeah.
these little moments where, okay, one moment in today, but there were there were 20 of these today, or there were whatever, and then that's built up, and now it's overwhelming and it's tiring and exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like because chronic illness is invisible too, and people see you, walking around, and it's like they think you're
Right.
totally fine. And it's like, I'm like in agony over here. I mean, not to dramatize, but it's like, yeah, it's really that choice we're constantly having to weigh. If I brush my teeth, I'm gonna have to lay down again for half an hour. Like these are the calculations we make, and it's just it changes your whole life, and yet the Lord sustains, right? It's like, I mean, that's the whole point of this podcast. It's like this is why we can sing through the fire even though our lives are dramatically different now. You and I didn't have chronic illness and then our lives get turned upside down, and yet here we are still praising the Lord. Like I don't know. I know I'm babbling. But I
No.
I want to end it. Yeah, I want to end it on what's one thing you do today like like how are you singing through your fire right now? Like how are you and your husband clinging for joy even though you've been slammed with this fresh new wave of suffering? Do you just,
Yeah,
set your face like a flint, it says in the Psalms, and just trust the Lord? Or are you, I know it's not, you know what I'm saying?
absolutely. Okay, well, three things came to mind. One,
Okay, yeah.
briefly, I mean, I mentioned like listening to Psalms. Specifically, I've been using the app Dwell, and that has been just
Oh,
like getting to listen because again, I can't really read, and I feel like I can't even totally understand all the time, like the Bible or whatever. But like listening to that
yeah,
has helped me when I'm like stuck in my own head. I'm like, okay, listening to
right.
something. There's all the emotion that I'm feeling, but there's also the God is good. There's also something that I was doing before the TIAs that now that I can't write very well, I haven't been doing as much, but I would just like write down in the morning, would be journaling as part of like my time with God, and I'd write down like things I'm thankful for. And I know that that's really cliche, but it has been helpful, even if it was like, thank you for the conversation with this person. Thank you for, you know, ice
Yeah.
cream. Thank you for
Oh,
whatever.
yeah. Sign me
And
up.
then on that note, doing something fun. Like God has given us pleasures. He has entrusted us with suffering. But there's also things
Right.
that are like happy or that are like delightful to do. And I think sometimes it can be easy to get caught up in the big things. And it
Yeah.
sounds super spiritual, but like eating the ice cream, or I have the house plant here, which you can't really see, but there's a house plant here that makes me so happy right now. It's like I
Oh,
see it and I'm like, yeah, it makes me smile. And these are things that he's created with. He's given his people, he's given his creation, he's given us creativity, and all of these things can be joyful and can be things that help us, like can be to facilitate that delighting in him, delighting in his presence, delighting in the things he made.
I love that. It's like finding these sprinkles of joy and sometimes even waterfalls of joy. God gives us these little moments of joy that really encourage us. So, Sara, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been a pleasure to have you. Thanks for being so authentic and honest, even about your struggles right now to feel God's presence. That is so authentic. We all go through it, we all have the same doubts and questions. Thank you for joining us today.
It has been wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And for everyone listening, until next time, remember, we may not understand what God is doing on this side of eternity, but we're still here, we're still trusting, and we're still singing. Until next time, God bless you. Be sure to hit subscribe because I upload content every week to help other sufferers. To God be the glory.